Hi, everybody in podcast land and also on YouTube. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And this is the Carpool Critics Movie Podcast. I do that every time now. It's the podcast.
It's the podcast.
Where today we are discussing 2021's iteration of Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Spoiler alert? Yeah.
Wait, why did you say it like that? You're like, hey, look, if you haven't seen this and I spoil it for you, who cares?
Because
You're not missing out.
I guess it's like the basic plot is the same as the other one.
Not really.
No, not at all.
Whoa.
They innovated for this one,
Yeah,
right?
they
Sure
were
did.
so different.
Big time.
This
Big
is
time.
art.
So, okay, before we get into it, though, next week, everyone, we're going to watch a movie that David does consider art. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, yeah.
Edgar Wright movie. David's been trying to cover this for years.
It's the theatrical re-release next week for the 10-year anniversary that was in August, but is being celebrated now.
But not with the release of the 4K version.
No, with just the theatrical release. 4K is coming later, but we're covering it either way.
But
Yeah.
today, it's Mortal Kombat for as long as we have to. David, why don't you start us off?
Mortal Kombat does its damn best to insult the intelligence of the entire audience, but there is some gold, well, maybe some brass amongst the bloody, studio-meddled, corny shit. 3.8 out of 10.
3.8.
Yeah. I think there is some redeeming things to this movie, but it's boring. It's too boring and stupid for adults. It's too violent for kids. Who's it for? Stupid teenagers?
Yeah, you just gave me
Yep.
permission. You just gave me permission to lower my rating.
You have my permission to die.
What'd you give the first one?
-7 or something like that.
You did?
Yeah, I went to the negatives because it's so bad it's good. This is just
Oh.
bad.
Okay, yeah.
It's
okay.
not fun.
You know what's interesting
I was
about that,
remembering,
though?
yeah.
I don't want to get too derailed here, but I think the way that we've thought about it, like, we just saw the first Mortal Kombat in the current era. You know, when you watch this crappy movie in 20 years with nostalgia glasses,
Maybe.
you'll look at it the same way that you and I
That's
look at the
fair.
one from the 90s.
That's fair. That's
Maybe.
fair.
Probably equally bad.
Yeah. That's
maybe,
fair.
maybe, yeah.
We'll have to revisit in 20 years.
It's
of
always, yeah.
22-year anniversary. Yeah.
It's always like a kind of a mind fuck when you're trying to like rate a movie like this.
Yeah.
But here's my slogan: I'll take more Kano, please. The rest was okay. 4 out of 10.
Wait, you like Kano?
I love Kano.
Oh my.
Kano was the best part of this movie.
I'll tiebreaker that right after my
Holy.
slogan. Actually, I have two competing slogans.
You didn't like Kano?
Oh, this is great.
What?
This is great. Okay. Potential slogan number 1. For some reason, I feel like Mortal Kombat 2021 is the R-rated version of the live-action Mulan. Why are there so many Mulan vibes? Did anyone?
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that at
Not
all.
all.
This is confusing. This is a confusing start to this
I'll
podcast.
talk about that later. I think I'll get you on my side.
Yeah, okay, sure. Sure.
So, potential synopsis or potential slogan 2. In the distant future, in those rare times when we think back on this movie, how shall we refer to it? Mortal Kombat 2021? No. I'll be calling it the Mortal Kombat movie where Mortal Kombat never happens.
Yeah.
4.5 out of 10.
4.5.
Sort of. There's
okay.
lots of Mortal Kombat. Combat that is mortal, but there's no tournaments.
There's
Yeah.
no Mortal Kombat tournament.
Honestly.
Such a tease, too.
Huge.
They talk about it.
Yeah.
A bunch.
And
I
then
mean-
they basically have it. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not going to have a tournament, but we're all going to fight one-on-one.
Well, I feel like this movie was kind of missing its third act, and I thought that the third act would have been the tournament. I thought
Right.
like there would have been like all these like battles that are unsanctioned leading up to the tournament, and then that was like the high stakes. Like they had these one-on-one fights that are by the rule but are dirty.
Yeah.
But they don't even go there.
I was so disappointed. I was
Yeah.
like, I was kind of on board. I was like, you know, obviously it was like cheesy and there are lots of things that we will talk about that are not great. But for the most part, I was kind of like, okay, I remember the first one. It was sort of a fun ride. I want this. The first one had a pretty satisfying, you know, conclusion to the dramatic
Sure.
arcs and the
Yeah,
character
yeah.
arcs that had been set up. And this one was just kind of like, okay,
There was
a bunch
no
of people
arc.
are fighting. Yeah.
There was no
Yeah.
arc.
Yeah, a bunch of people are fighting and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like the dude, the main character,
Ugh.
Cole Young. First of all, so many things to say about this
Yeah.
fucking guy. Okay.
I have-
First of
Wait,
all,
wait.
I'm sick of the name Cole for this kind of attitude. A character with this attitude, name's Cole. I don't like that. Done. Just name him Justin or something. Anything else.
Yeah.
Anything
Justin
else.
Young. They should have got Justin Long. That would have been great.
Yeah.
That would have been great. But you know why? Because in Act 1 of a Justin Long movie, he would have had some quality that needed improving.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
have sucked at something. There would have been something bad about him.
You mean
like
he
that
would've-
needed fixing.
You mean he would have had a characteristic?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some flaws, and then
Yeah.
he would have overcome those flaws to triumph in the end.
Well, he
But
definitely had flaws.
He wasn't
Cole.
the best at fighting.
Yeah. He was washed up. He used to be a big champion, and then.
But there's so many things they do wrong with that arc. But sorry, James, go back to your point.
But there was nothing like his flaws were like he loses, but he never gives up, or
he's too focused and he leaves his family by the wayside sometimes, or something.
Exactly. In this one, it was just like, he's a nobody. In big surprise, he's gonna turn out to be a somebody.
Yeah. Scorpion's grandchild.
Yeah,
because of privilege, just like Mulan.
The best. Now we're getting.
I didn't actually think of that before. I was actually just referring before to the editing.
Oh, fair enough.
And like the number of prominent Chinese actors.
The editing was bad, but that's something that we definitely want to get into after.
Oh my God, how could we forget about our sponsor, Private Internet Access VPN. PIA helps you hide your true IP address so that you can bypass geo restrictions and censorship. You can connect up to 10 devices at once, and it includes an internet kill switch.
Your soul is mine!
Just introducing this now. If your VPN gets disconnected involuntarily. PIA is available for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and even as the dang Chrome extension in Outworld. So check it out at lmg.gg/carpoolcritic.
Do you want to access Outworld's Netflix library?
Goro uses PIA.
He has to.
Yeah.
He looks up some weird stuff.
He's got 4 different computers going with 4 different VPNs.
In my country, this is not bestiality.
Oh, man.
Oh,
okay,
no.
Let's keep talking about Cole.
Wait, should we do a synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay, in 17th century Japan, ninja Hanzo Hazashi is killed along with his wife and son by Hanzo's rival, Bihan. Raiden, god of thunder, discovers Hanzo's surviving infant daughter and takes her to safety. In the present day, MMA fighter Cole Young and his family are also attacked by Bihan, now known as Sub-Zero, but they're saved by Special Forces agent Jax, who sends them to seek out his partner Sonya Blade, while he fends off Sub-Zero, who freezes and shatters his arms. After ensuring his family's safety, Cole finds Sonya at her hideout, holding the mercenary Kano captive. She tells Cole about Mortal Kombat, a fighting tournament between dimensions that if you win it, you get to invade the other realms, and the realm of Outworld has defeated Earthrealm in 9 out of 10 Mortal Kombats, so the sorcerer Shang Tsung is sending his warriors to kill Earth's champions who are identified by dragon marks on their skin, and guess who has one? It's Cole, also Kano and Jax. You guys got that?
Yep.
Not Sonya.
There's rules. Anyways, after defeating the monster Sizoth, the 3 then travel to Raiden's temple, meeting fellow champions Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Jax is also there with new mechanical arms somehow. Raiden erects a shield to stave off Outworld's attacks while the underdog champions begin training to unlock their Arcana, a special power they all get to have. Kano unlocks a laser eye, but Cole isn't getting anywhere, so Raiden sends him back to his family while telling him about his heritage as a descendant of Hanzo Hazashi. Cool. Then Kano switches sides and disables Raiden's shield, allowing Outworld to attack the temple. Meanwhile, Cole is attacked by the 4-armed Prince Goro, who he defeats after awakening his Arcana. At the temple, Kung Lao is killed, but Jax awakens his Arcana.
That deep breath.
Yeah. At the temple, Kung Lao is killed, but Jax awakens his Arcana, which is to have bigger, better mechanical arms, before Raiden warps them all to safety. The remaining fighters make a plan to take out Outworld's warriors one by one, and they do. I really gave it up here, guys. Sonya kills Kano and gets his dragon mark and arm lasers. Cole almost gets killed by Sub-Zero, but his ancestor Hanzo, now the undead Scorpion, shows up and defeats Sub-Zero. Raiden then declares he's creating a new list of warriors for the next tournament. Johnny Cage, anyone? Oh. But like I gave up at the end of the synopsis because honestly I was like, wait, what happens? Like it all just happened so fast.
Well, like pretty much every sentence you said, I wanted to stop you and have a discussion point about how stupid everything is. This movie is exceptionally stupid.
We could format the podcast that way.
Almost could.
It starts off with your synopsis started off with the opening scenes.
Yeah,
I think that's actually an okay place.
Let's
to start.
talk about that.
Like the opening.
Yes.
I thought it was okay.
Yes.
I was like, I will admit, I went into this movie wanting to like it. I went in enhanced, and I was like, I'm going to give this movie a fair shot.
I forgot to do that.
And I was like, this scene, it's not great, but it's like, I'm kind of feeling it. Like the stakes are high. Like the violence is cool. Yeah. Sub-Zero's powers are like really threatening.
Right.
And like, I was like, hey, if this movie keeps going down this path, hey, I could buy into this.
And you know what else is in the first, like opening seconds, I was like, this is kind of pretty.
Yeah.
This is kind of a nice shot.
Totally.
This is nice to look at.
Honestly, it's kind of sad for the rest of the movie because this was like really the only time that I was like, this is a sick fight scene. Like I'm down for this.
Yep.
Like a ninja just like going ham on a bunch of people attacking his family. Like, hell yeah, let's go.
Good motivation.
Hanzo, and like, man, I need to, what's the guy's name? Do you know his name?
Sub-Zero?
the actor who plays
No, I'm
Hanzo.
sure.
Oh yeah,
He's in a lot of stuff.
I
got it.
I honestly was like upset that I didn't know his name because he's been in so much stuff, and I'm
very
like, he's
famous.
awesome every time.
Hiroyuki Sanada.
There he is.
He gets killed by Hawkeye in Endgame,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's in The Last Samurai.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He plays all of these like badass Japanese ninja characters.
He is badass, but I was actually not happy to see him here.
Really?
No?
Well, okay, I had a colored look at this intro because the day before I watched Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, and that is the best Mortal Kombat
That's
movie.
an animated one,
It's
right?
animated, and it's weird because it's like the exact same as the other Mortal Kombat we watched in terms of the plot. Like they get on the boat and they go to Mortal Kombat.
It's Johnny Cage?
Except it has this, yeah, they're all there, except it has this, it's like the main character is Scorpion. So you have these other
flashbacks and stuff too?
Yeah, flashbacks and just another protagonist arc and storyline with like, what's Scorpion doing at this whole time?
Sure.
And the opening of that is the same as the opening of this, where you're in the past, you're at his village, his people got wiped out, but it's just better. It's basically better in like every single way.
Oh, interesting.
So when I watched the opening scene of this movie, I'm like, I have that in my mind and I'm comparing it against that.
well, that
I'm
was
like,
your first mistake.
Scorpion's like 50 and he's like 5'6". Okay.
What?
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah, what?
I love this.
He's short.
I didn't bother me for some reason. I'm not even a tall guy, but that just bothered me for some reason. And then the fact that his like family gets killed.
Yeah.
Like in the animated one, it's like he's with his son and he goes up to his village and like the whole town is like wiped out.
Oh, jeez.
And then he's like trying to figure out what's going on. He gets attacked and then eventually finds his wife after he's like already fighting people.
Oh, that sucks.
And this, he just
sees
walks up
one
and his
dude.
wife is just there.
Yeah, he sees one dude, stops, and then it's his wife.
And then he's grieving before he looks for attackers. He goes down on one knee, he's like starts grieving. You know there's danger around you still. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the prop of the frozen wife and kid looked awesome.
Yeah.
I think that was really good. But I agree. I think that like it's just underutilized and like this movie totally fails in direction in terms of like directing the audience of what it's supposed to feel.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't feel anything watching it. And like this scene like could be so powerful. Like you're saying in the animated one, like you felt something. You feel the dread or you feel the loss. And this you don't really feel it. You're like, all right, just fucking fight.
I will say that that's this first sequence in 17th century Japan. Like it really set up that this movie might be decent for me. So it was good enough for me to kind of like be like, all right, I know that the first one I gave it a 2 out of 10, but this one I'm like, all right, it's been a while. Maybe, it's 2021. They maybe it's going to be like a fun Marvel type thing, maybe they were able to figure it out, but like, they did not. But I will say,
the second scene, you're like, oh no.
I will say about this first scene that it felt like watching one of these like old samurai movies or something, or like kind of like The Last Samurai or something, where it's like, yeah, I felt badass.
And I feel like in the first scene, they do the least amount of cutting on the fights, because that's something I have a big problem with. We can talk about that later. But I felt strongly after that first scene. I'm like, if this whole movie was about Scorpion, I think I would be more into it.
Totally.
But then immediately it cuts to Cole. And Scorpion is not a part of this movie until he like shows up at the last fight. And he's like not important at all.
But they keep dangling in front of you. Like when it cuts to Cole, his boxing like fist wraps are yellow. His duffel bag has yellow tape on it.
Yeah.
There's like even a third thing. Oh, like the cage is yellow. There's all this yellow shit. You're like, I get it. I get it. You're his son or whatever.
Yeah. And so Cole Young is a new character in the Marvel
movie.
in the Mortal Kombat crossover.
Fuck yeah, that'd be sick.
Which I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan. We talked about this last time, but it's kind of lame to me.
Such a middle finger to the fans. Like, okay, look, we can't fit all the characters you like, but we're gonna take one of the slots and make a new character.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be the worst fucking character in this movie.
If you're gonna make a new character,
why a washed up MMA fighter? Like that doesn't fit with like demons and like warlocks and like emperor gods. Like why the fuck is he a washed up MMA fighter? It's so lame.
He's okay at fighting on Earth.
Yeah, but he's a loser too. And like, it's so frustrating because they try and sell you that his power is like never giving up. And the first thing you see of him is giving up in a fight. Like, what the fuck?
His daughter's like, don't tap out.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, but honestly, for $200, you should tap out.
For sure.
Don't wreck your arm.
But it's just in terms of the character and building that character as like an unstoppable tank.
Wait, what? Is that
That's why he has that power.
That's
his character. Is
I didn't
that he's
pick
like
up that he was supposed to
never gives up. He always comes back fighting.
But the thing is, they don't even. Let's say that's his flaw. Is that he tapped in the first fight. But then they should have made something about that, where like they ream him out. Like you threw the fight, you gave up way too soon or something. He didn't. He was gonna get his arm ripped off.
That looked really painful.
Well, and the funny thing about that is that like you can't tap out in Mortal Kombat. You die. So it's like if you set that up as this flaw.
True. Plus, he tapped out on the ring instead of the guy's back. Like, it's just not safe. You're lucky the ref was with an eye shot of that tap.
Man, what do you guys think of his power? Because I think that there's a lot of potential, and I like that
Wonder Woman armor.
Oh, I like that it's designed like it could be a video game character where like the more damage you take, the stronger you get. I think there's like an angle that's kind of cool, and I bet they are like have plans to make him a DLC character in the video game, but. His design is so fucking stupid. It's literally a shirt. He's wearing like pants on like regular pants on top of the shirt. So all you see is like a long sleeve textured shirt. Doesn't have a helmet. It's like the worst design I've ever seen.
Tonfa are lame weapons. I don't like them.
They're okay.
I'm really confused as to how this like Arcana thing works. Like, okay, so I don't know. I'm just like,
is it? Well, this movie answers definitively if powers are nature versus nurture, and it's very much nurture. Because like Jax gets it because of he has no arms. Well, like what would his Arcana have been if he had happened a month earlier?
Good question.
Yeah, it's like it's context dependent.
Yeah,
what power you get.
Yeah,
I guess they put it in the movie because there's no explanation. Like Johnny Cage is just a human movie star, martial arts champion. He's basically Chuck Norris, except a douche. Because Chuck Norris is a saint.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But then in the game, he's doing this kick and he has like these green effects behind him. Yeah. What does that mean? Or like Sonya, she's a cop, but then she shoots this pink ball out of her hand. The hell is that?
I didn't look this up. But
sorry.
Is the Arcana thing like
it's just for the movie?
It's just for this movie.
I don't think the idea is the worst. Like they do the same with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, where instead of having like a wrist blaster, they made it a natural thing.
Right.
I think you can do it. This movie just failed to clarify and make like the journey towards unlocking your Arcana clear. Like Kano, they just fucking yell at him at a dinner table.
Well, it's duress. It's duress.
Yeah, but it's like I just think that they didn't do a good job of like.
It's the X-Men.
I think a big part of it is that the Rocky montage leading up to them unlocking their Arcana is like the worst Rocky montage ever. They just fucking spar.
Yeah,
dude, it's not X-Men. X-Men happens in puberty.
Well,
not all of them.
No.
Is it all?
That's no. Yeah, it doesn't have to be puberty. It's just that
it's often like a stressful traumatic time during adolescence.
That's fair.
But it's I'm saying it's the same thing as in like you see your family about to get crushed by something and then your power unlocks. You know, it's like
the robot arms is the stupidest natural internal power I've ever seen.
I guess the robot arms kind of makes sense because it's like okay, you were recently you had a horrible accident. Now you don't have arms anymore. So I guess your Arcana thing is to give you these super powerful. Your weakness has been turned into strength,
could work.
And so for his character, you can kind of see it that way. But for other characters, just like completely random. Like Kano gets an eye laser. Okay.
Yeah, but he thinks that's awesome.
He thinks it's cool, but it has nothing to do with his character or anything. Like Cole gets a fancy suit of armor thing. Well, what does that have to do with anything?
They try and tie it into like him never giving up, and his greatest strength is being able to take hits. So that becomes his greatest his superpower is he takes hints and becomes stronger for it. But they absolutely fail to tie it all together. There, it's all there, but it's like they can't fucking make it work.
It's
also
very
not cool.
amateur because like there was that in when he's fighting the regular MMA guy, he's like taking the hits and then they're like use your uppercut and then he like doesn't use it.
Yeah.
And then once he gets his Arcana,
that was a bad call. There was no opportunity for an uppercut there.
What they should have done
use your uppercut like a Pokemon.
We're clinching. What
the first fight should have been is him getting the shit kicked out of him, not giving up, having a bloody face, and in the last minute just like hardcore uppercutting, winning. That gives us the character. That gives us like okay, he never gives up. He can turn it around, and then it makes sense that he's the tank. He takes all the damage, and then like in the last moment he can beat Goro because he's like that's his character. But it's so disconnected. Everything's so disconnected.
Yeah.
Also, he should be more Scorpion-like. Like if Scorpion's gonna be like Scorpion's awesome.
Yeah.
He's like Wolverine for this franchise, where they put him on the cover of all the games as much as they can because he sells games. Just like they had a little Wolverine like logo they put on comic books, even when Wolverine wasn't in the comic book, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they did with this movie, where it's like we're gonna open with Wolverine, or we're gonna open with Scorpion, and then we're gonna have this main character who's gonna be related to Scorpion. We're gonna foreshadow that with his yellow bracelets and crap. And then he doesn't become anything like Scorpion or even like offer a glimmer of badassery like Scorpion at all.
Yeah.
He's more closely tied to Aquaman than Scorpion. Like that's what he looks like to be.
Yeah, that's what was so frustrating also about the characters. Like why do you even have all this stuff about Scorpion? Why even have this whole backstory?
Because
where
it's
you're
the logo
blood?
on the box,
Yeah,
man.
that's why they need to sell.
Well,
it.
then why don't you
tickets.
just make Scorpion an actual character in the movie?
Because that's what they did in 2020's Scorpion's Revenge movie that had already been made.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
I think another big problem they have with that character is that they like double fish out of water him, because like there's him at the beginning, and then when Jax and Sonya kind of bring him out of like one level of the universe, that's like already fish out of water. But then they take that pair and they're in fish out of water again into like the magic universe.
Outworld,
and it's just like not necessary. It should have been just like one fish out of water, and maybe just Cole not knowing what's
What
going on.
are these levels of water you're talking about? Cole doesn't know what's going on because he's hanging out with these
And
crazy
so then
people.
at first he's like in his world with his family, and then he's pulled out to level 1 with Jax, and then it's like, okay, there's crazy stuff happening, but like
They have
we're
these
doing all this stuff.
markings.
And then they're pulled out into like the Kung Lao and Liu Kang.
When, by the time they get there, nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah, nobody knows
There's
what's going on.
fireballs.
And it just becomes confusing, and it's like, okay, weird, like I don't know, it just felt messy.
Yeah, and then they
whole
have
thing.
to ride the kick all the way back up to the top of the dream world.
And you know what? I would have been able to excuse so many of these things if the cast was compelling.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
we meet Liu Kang, I'm like, this guy's lame.
He looks like David Dalmatchian to me. Like a super ripped, like uncomfortably
The guy
ripped.
we were talking about last
Bob
episode.
Taylor from Prisoners.
kind of, yeah.
And like he's ripped and he's a martial artist. He's in lots of stuff too. But yeah, I don't know. I like that they took it a totally different direction. Like they removed him so far from the protagonist role, like in the previous movies. But
He was more
But
like a guy.
They made it,
Yeah.
but,
Which
I
was
think it
kinda
was
cool.
kind of frustrating to have like. I feel like a lot of people coming into this movie have seen the first one, right? Or they're Mortal Kombat fans and they have a familiarity with all of the characters and the lore and stuff. So it's like having him kind of relegated to this really, really secondary character role. To me, as someone who's doesn't really care about Mortal Kombat, but saw the first one and kind of thought his character was interesting. Like I was like, that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you?
Yep.
Who's Kung Lao? I get that they're kind of brothers.
cousins.
I actually
Or,
thought,
no, I mean,
But they totally
brothers
failed.
in arms.
Yeah.
I
But they
thought it was
totally
his
failed
uncle.
to make. Really?
I could be wrong, but
maybe.
whatever. They're
But
allies.
I think they totally failed to make me believe they had like a brotherhood where
Yeah.
they were really tight. When like Kung Lao dies and he gets really sad, I'm like, oh, I guess they were close. Like, I guess.
yeah. Well, sorry, just to clarify,
Yeah.
I thought like growing up and what I know about Mortal Kombat, I thought it was his uncle. I know it's his ancestor. In this
Yeah.
movie, they say they're cousins.
Yeah.
But you're right. And one of the things about that, David, is that they introduce characters assuming you know who those characters are. And so like Kung Lao shows up, like you're supposed to know about this lineage and like and their brotherhood. Or like when Shang Tsung sucks Buddy's soul out, they never built that up or
Never.
introduced that. It's like suddenly he's sucking your soul
Yeah.
out. You're like, hey,
So lame.
not earned at all.
Yeah. It's not really bringing people in who are not familiar
But it's
with
also
the whole
like,
deal.
who is it for? Because like 10 minutes after we've seen Sub-Zero use ice powers and be a badass, he's like, I'm Sub-Zero. And you're like,
Why?
Yeah, I fucking know, dude. Like, I fucking know who you are, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't like the portrayal of him as just like a henchman. Like Sub-Zero is the leader of this like badass dynasty of ninjas and shit. Like he's at the top of a mountain in his own temple.
They do better than
It's
the
better than
previous
the
movies.
first one,
Like
yeah.
same with both Scorpion and him. I think they didn't fully utilize them because like obviously those are like the main characters of Mortal Kombat, but they're better here.
Yeah,
I'm not going to spoil Scorpion's Revenge, but I will say that even though it's a similar setup as Sub-Zero as the bad guy, they like save it somehow so they don't tarnish that character and they do a way better job.
Well,
Right.
in the video games, the retcon was that it wasn't Sub-Zero that killed Scorpion's family. It was like Shang-Chi, right? Shang-Chi that
Somebody.
tricked him.
Shang Tzu?
So their whole
Shang Tsung?
conflict.
Quan Chi.
Quan Chi, yeah, that tricked him to think that Sub-Zero killed his family.
Right. And then turns out they should actually, and they end up being kind of friends, right? Or
Yeah,
allies at the
Sort
very
of,
least.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, the reason we've been fighting for hundreds of years or whatever is actually just a misunderstanding. Okay, we're cool.
Yeah. His death scene was too much. Scorpion was in human suffering for too long that I didn't
Scorpion
like.
was?
Yeah.
When he died
Or
in the beginning of the
Sub-Zero, you
movie?
mean?
When he died at the beginning of the movie, it was too long and too much for me.
I didn't think he died hard enough.
Really?
Honestly.
But it wasn't hard, but it was long and drawn out. And I was like,
It was.
okay, just fucking die, dude. Just die.
Like it was too long because you
He's
were like, this
he
is
gets stabbed in
emotionally
the
affecting
stomach.
me?
I
Or-
just felt uncomfortable. I was like, he gets stabbed, dragged through the stomach, and
Oh,
then he
yeah.
fights for another 5 minutes, and then he gets stabbed through the chest, and then he walks a bit, and then he falls down, and he gets up, and then he's like, baby, no, okay, and he keeps going. I'm
That's
like, dude,
pretty
just
sad.
fucking
I was just
die.
thinking the whole time he's crawling towards his baby. I'm just like, what are you gonna do when you get there?
Yeah.
You're just gonna get there and then die close to your baby instead of.
Yeah.
like
Well, that's
a-
better than nothing.
I guess
that's
so.
It was way better and I was
Scorpion's
just Revenge, guys. It's the best. I don't want to
way
spoil as
better.
much.
Yeah.
This is the first 2 minutes of that movie, but
The
like
Mortal Kombat 11 story too is awesome.
he gets frozen as shit and killed in a way more badass way.
That's
the thing. The power
This
of
isn't
anime.
the
though.
podcast
Yeah.
for the animated movie, James.
But the power of anime.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating because Sub-Zero at some points in this movie has such a cool power, and I think they do a really good job with
Sub-Zero?
the visuals of Sub-Zero's power. And at other times, I'm like, what the fuck?
I thought it was
He
kind of cool.
sucks.
The one thing I liked about Sub-Zero in this one was how when you see kind of the fractal ice kind of forming on stuff, it's kind of like, oh, Sub-Zero's here. And there was a little bit of a sense of dread, and he was kind of like a movie monster in that
A little
way.
bit,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I can dig with, I can get that. You know, I gotta say that I can't complain too much about the fact that Sub-Zero and Scorpion don't have very much characterization in this one because it's so much more characterization
Yeah.
than the first one, where
They
they're
were
literally
fucking
just
jokes. Yeah.
demon, like mindless zombie henchmen from Outworld.
I don't
so.
get why he makes it all snowy and icy everywhere he goes, though. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, he's so powerful. He has like an aura.
I understand that he
freeze.
can do it.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
like
why he's doing
being
it?
chased,
Yeah.
and he goes into this building, and it's like, well, he went this way.
Yeah.
It's all icy.
That's fair. That's fair.
He doesn't care, man. He's a badass.
He is a badass.
He wants you to come and find
The
out.
best was when he like slit somebody's. He hit somebody and a bunch of blood squirts out of
yeah.
them, and he freezes the
That's
blood in
so
midair
sick.
and stabs them with it. That
That's
was
like
awesome.
a creative use of his powers. I think there's a lot of like really cool visuals, like when he builds the ice wall. They do a good job mixing practical and CG and like just enhancing what they actually built with CG most of the time.
Right.
I think for me the best is definitely the bloodsicle.
The bloodsicle.
The worst and most like baffling to me is when he first arrives when Cole is still with his family. And he like does the like raising the ice and then launches at them, but it's so ineffectual. Like it can't even break glass. I was like, come on, at least have like this glass shatter. And
The
like,
only thing that gave that any sort of weight, like dramatically, is the fact that when he does it first, there's a guy out on the street and he gets like knocked out by it.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I get that it's dangerous. But then he's like, get in the car. And
Yeah.
all they have to do is just get in the car. And it looks like kids are throwing snowballs at them or something. I was like, this is not scary anymore
at
because
all.
you got in the car.
yeah,
if
the
you
car's
just didn't get
got
in.
a couple dents.
And then he
Yeah.
kind of like teleports. He's like suddenly on the other side of the alley. It's like, what?
Yeah, you can ice teleport.
I guess.
I don't know.
It's like going through time that you're so fast that it's slow. He's so cold that it's.
That was
Fast?
that was the big thing that's annoying to me about like his powers. There's like what's going on. Some of them are inconsistent. Like he'll use ice in one way and people get stabbed by it, and then other times he throws
Like a
people at
snowball.
ice and they just go right through it. It's a
Yeah.
snowball, nothing happens. But then he can also create an ice sword that can block
Yeah.
a real
that
sword's
come?
blows.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Dude, there's
What?
different kinds of snow and ice. You're just from the coast. You don't get it.
Okay.
I don't like his outfit. I think Scorpion looked okay, but when they do the all black thing to try and make it seem more grounded, I guess. But all black Baihan is a different character. That's Noob Saibot.
Oh, true.
When he
That's Noob Saibot.
he goes like because Sub-Zero is a code name. It's not the actual character. It's like the position.
Yeah.
And so that character that is part of the Scorpion drama becomes Noob Saibot, and he's all black then. But in this movie, he's all black, like Noob Saibot.
he's
But
got-
he's not Noob Saibot.
Yeah, he's got some blue on
Get
him,
your
doesn't he?
facts correct.
It's like dark blue.
I mean, also his mouthpiece a little too thick for me.
Yeah.
I would have made that slimmer. And then his shoulder pads were just like angled in a way that just made him look like he didn't have big shoulders.
Yeah.
It just didn't look very menacing to me. I didn't like
I
that.
like my villains with big shoulders.
I think most of the costume design is fine. None of it feels worn. Like none of it feels like it's been worn by warriors for 10 years.
Some of it is
battle.
silly too. Like Raiden's hat just looked a little impractical.
Yeah, for sure. I hate some of the Raiden's temple. I think that's some of the worst production design I've ever seen. Like the Tesla coil in the middle of like the
Yeah, what is that?
the temple. What's
that
his
what
lightning is for drawing
I
lightning.
didn't even get that. I was like, what is that thing?
I honestly, I saw that and I was like, is that a stack of plates? What am I looking at?
Are they gonna tell us what that is?
Yeah, no, it's a Tesla coil because they were very uncreative.
Oh,
It just
Raiden
looks
was
so out of place.
Let's take a moment to just say how bad Raiden was.
Oh yeah,
As soon as he showed his face, I was like, he looked dumb.
he's better. He's
At
better.
least he was Asian.
Yeah, he's better than the grand like KKK Grand Wizard Raiden.
True, but I thought his eyes looked bad.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
eyes look.
the effects look terrible.
Guys, the first time, where is it? When he picks up the baby, or when is the first time we see his eyes?
Well, I think there's a camera pan up.
Yeah.
And it's his hat, but there's a light. They have a light underneath that was supposed to be timed with the eye revealing so that it lights his face, but the light turned up too quick, so it lights up before you see his eyes, and it looks so bad.
Yo,
I was like,
maybe
they should have redone this.
I didn't even pick up on that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
it looked so silly,
bad.
especially because the music was like building up and building up. It's like, and then it reaches this peak, and at the same time that it's like, he looks up and his eyes are glowing, and I laughed out loud.
It's like After Effects
I
eye
burst out
glowing.
laughing
It's
because
so
it was so
bad.
funny.
What is bad about it? Is it that the irises are not darker than the other
I think
effects, so you
it's-
can't see his eyes?
We'd probably have to like watch it frame by frame to understand. I think the comp is bad. Like the way that like the light extrudes past the eyelids probably doesn't look real. Like it just looks like fake.
Yeah,
There's
I think
something
it's a
uncanny.
combination
Something
of a number
totally-
of things.
It just looks like After
The-
Effects
the-
add-on.
The actor himself is doing kind of like a silly face.
Is he?
Well, like he's doing like a serious face, but it looks kind of silly with the CG. I don't know. I don't know.
I also didn't like his vibe. He was a pessimist. He
Yeah.
kept- the first time he really talked was like, these are the champions. They're not strong enough. They're gonna suck.
No, he's Earth Defender. Yeah, he has
He's
to-
supposed to like bring
build
everybody
them up.
up,
Yeah,
like and
yeah.
groom them into like the heroes they can
Yeah.
be. But
I
instead,
mean,
he was just pessimistic the whole time.
I feel like there is an element of Raiden that I remember from the first one where he's kind of like, hey, that's tough shit, man. Like, you know, he's not like a benevolent, loving God or whatever. He's kind of like the more like, hey, I'm going to be an asshole if I have to be type of situation, even though he is trying to save Earth or whatever.
but he was supportive.
Yeah, it did bother me
Yeah.
that he was just kind of like, you're the champions, fuck you.
I think they could have gone that direction. There's
It's
just-
your job. You run this realm.
Yeah. The problem is that there's just so many characters that
He
don't.
doesn't run it. He just
This
protects
movie
it.
is very inefficient in how it builds characters, and there's like 20 characters they have to build out, and so like between the inefficiencies and the sheer content that they have to explain, there's no time to build any of it out. Because I don't mind having Raiden be a sarcastic piece of shit if they build it out and like have him have an arc based on that, where like
Right.
he's lost hope. He used to have hope, and then he loses it, and he's kind of jaded, and then he has to like learn to get it back. But like no, there is no arc. There's just Raiden.
It wouldn't
That's
take
why-
very many sentences to
No,
get there, right?
not at all.
We already know that Earth has lost 9 times in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just
Yep.
spring off of that.
totally.
That's why I love Kano.
Kano is the only actor with charisma in this movie.
Yes. Okay, no. But what do you mean when you say you don't like Kano?
I thought he was 0% funny. I thought he was
What?
so aggravating, and like he's just like he's one of those
David.
people that isn't clever, and he's just like, oh fuck this, oh yeah, fuck this, oh fuck this.
Okay,
Wow.
well, you know what? I'm going to be right down the middle in this because I remember when they introduced him, I was like, this guy just, like, F-words themselves aren't funny.
No,
like
and
he's just,
every sentence.
but then he got accidentally stabbed, and I laughed out loud. I thought that
Yeah.
was hilarious. And he did make me laugh a couple times, but they went too far with him. They went too far.
Right.
They should have deleted some of the jokes. Did not land at all.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I think that like the first few lines from him, it's like I thought that everyone in this movie was going to be complete garbage. And then he comes in, and it's like some of his lines are actually funny. And it's like, yeah, he's dropping F-bombs in like basically every line. But after a certain point, it's just like, all right, that's what he talks. And then you start listening to the rest of the lines. like what does he say? Somebody says something about him being Russian. He's like, do I sound Russian to you, you fucking idiot?
Yeah.
Like, I was going to go for a stroll, but maybe now I'll stick around, you fucking idiots. Like,
I wish he would have said fuckwit. That's my favorite Australian slang.
that's fair. That's fair.
oh, and then she's like trying to save him, and she throws a knife at his leg and is like, that was my knife. And then she walks away. He's like, fucking poetry. Like, it's like ironic.
That's so funny. I don't find him funny at all. I think he's maybe the most clearly defined.
Wait, my
Oh, please go.
favorite moment in this movie,
Yeah.
by far, is when Liu Kang shows up and he's doing that. Like, they meet Liu Kang in the desert or whatever, and Liu Kang does this fireball thing, and he's like, "Did you just throw fire out of your hands?" And he's like, Liu Kang walks up and puts his hand on his shoulder, and he's like, "You have much to learn." And Kano's like, "The fuck."
Oh, my favorite. I thought you were going to say the other line from that scene where he's like, is there a chance that I'm going to be able to throw fireball? Like,
No, that's fine. I just
I thought that was brilliant. Is there a chance I'm going to get powers?
Yeah. No, and that was kind of a funny, like, I like that he's sort of like this child, and he's just like, all he cares about is superpowers. But the timing and the delivery and the subversion of that type of moment that normally happens in these movies, like, you have much to learn. And we're supposed to be like, oh, yes, there's this big wider world we're being drawn into. And he's just like, the fuck? Get your hand off
He
me.
was good for a couple of reasons. Like, when they introduced Kung Lao, I was like, ooh, always wanted this. But now that I see it, that's a stupid looking thing in live action.
yeah.
You have, like, this
Yeah.
Asian warrior with Spanish hat is kind of not good in real
Captain
life.
America shield with sharpness.
Does it have chin straps or not? We don't know. How does he catch it? Who knows?
It has chin straps.
It does have when he's wearing it, the chin straps are always down.
Yeah.
When he throws it, there's none. But there
disappear.
is a shot, one of the final ones, where he puts it on and you can actually see him pull down the chin strap. So we assume
He does it like 3 or 4 times.
the chin strap must go up
Yeah.
in the second that he throws it, I guess.
And that's the
Magnetic.
Arcana the Elder Gods designed it that
That's
way.
his Arcana, chin strapping. No, but my point is that Kano says, like, you have a stupid looking silly hat. Like, it's nice that you're
I
self-aware.
agree. That's a good moment where the movie is on our level.
Man, that is so crazy that you didn't think he was funny
I thought
at
he was
all.
not funny at all. Like even that scene you're talking about, I was like, oh, I've seen this like a million times in Marvel movies where they're undercutting like a big moment with like a, oh no, that's not cool.
Well, but like that's to me, this whole movie, there's nothing to be seriously engaged with. So,
No, for sure.
So I was like, hey, if I can get like an SNL character in here who's just like, what was it, Sonya? Sonya's goes down to like train with them, and they're like, whoa, the training pit is only for Mortal Kombat champions or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, oh, and Kano's like, fucking whoops.
I missed that, I guess.
Just like, there are just a few lines.
Yeah.
You
Like,
can tell he brought it. I think that actor brought it.
I didn't laugh at every single line, obviously. No. There are some lines that are just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, there are 3 or 4 lines of his where it was just so tonally different from the rest of the characters.
Sure.
The rest of the characters are all like melodramatic and like, we have to save Earthground.
Yeah,
What am I going to do? What if I don't learn my Arcana? Blah, blah, blah. And Kano's just like, you're a fucking idiot. Blah, blah, blah. And he's just like so crazy. And I'm just like, I love the contrast.
Fair.
That's something we talked about before, where each character, you should be able to read the screenplay and on the page, cross out their names and still know who's talking.
You would know
With
that.
Kano, you would know who's
that.
talking. Everyone else who knows.
Yeah.
Like
It's all
Sonya?
mess.
Sonya's so lame.
I wrote,
What?
yeah. In my character thing of Sonya, I wrote, who?
Yeah. What is her deal?
She's
also,
nothing.
like
she's
like,
Sarah Connor light.
Okay, hold on, though, because she's like 10 times better than the original Sonya.
That's fair. That's fair.
And
as far as like
same.
all these C-list actors, she was okay.
No, I don't think.
No, they were
better
all
than
equally.
Cole.
They were all
Yeah,
equally.
Cole is the only one that is
whatever.
like straight up bad. I think all of them tried. This movie isn't bad for lack of trying outside of the writing. But like technically it's like an okay movie. Like it looks fine mostly.
It's fine.
Okay, let's stay on
But
Kano and Sonya
Yeah,
for a
Kano's-
second, because I didn't believe that after they fight Reptile and Kano gets freed from that, I didn't believe that Sonya would just be like, well, I guess his handcuffs are undone, so he's free now. Like, what? Wouldn't she's a cop? Like, wouldn't she still try to apprehend him and put cuffs on him again?
Because I like that intro of Kano where he's all tied up and chained up. I'm like, oh, he's like a threat. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then after that, he becomes just comedic relief who will betray them. But you're right. Like, why does she just let him be?
It didn't make any
after?
sense to me.
I
They
think
should have
that-
struck a deal at that moment.
Yeah.
I think that they went through a traumatic experience, and then now the danger is past, and here we are. And I guess maybe they kind of bonded a little bit in that moment where it's like, okay, we're not going to try and kill each other
But,
for a
That's
second.
They strike a deal to be like, instead of you leaving, how about you show us the way to this thing? But instead, it should have been like, instead of you being in jail, you show us the way to this thing.
That's fair.
That would have solved it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I
that's
guess
fair,
so.
that's
Also,
fair.
a nitpick there, he gets stabbed in the leg. There's a shot with him with a knife in his
totally
leg
fine.
in like a Captain Morgan, like in a lunge position. He pulls the knife out of his leg and then uses the quadricep muscles of that leg to stand. I was like, what?
They should have just-
and then they go and walk in the desert for 40 days. I was
Yeah,
like, you are injured.
Yeah.
That's I mean, okay, I feel like this is normally reversed where I'm making this objection and then someone tells me this, but you can't. It's Mortal Kombat.
Well, it was
like,
early
whatever.
enough in the movie. That's probably 20 minutes in, so I'm still like making my definitions of what
Fair
I'm
enough.
watching.
I guess
and I
that's
had to
enough.
just be like, oh, it's that stupid.
But by that
Okay.
time, we've seen like ice sorcerers and
That's fine.
But ice sorcerers
If there's
can be- yeah.
rules,
Yeah.
that's fine.
this is. I feel like I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, if there's rules, it's fine.
I agree with you, but I just kind of throw out all that logic for Mortal Kombat. I'm just like, it's stupid.
No, but there is like internal logic within the games. Like that's
Within
the
the
thing that's
games.
frustrating is that like
Yes.
they didn't have that far to go. Like the latest games have very good stories, like
Right.
very defined characters, very good arcs, and they just
I think-
don't know how to do it.
That's also that makes these movies like funny to me because they don't even attempt to stay true to the lore at all. It's like, hey, we're gonna put in this Arcana thing because I'm sure it seemed to them like a fun thing to have in a movie. Like everyone's got to say secret power. What's your secret
Yeah.
power? What's your Arcana? What are you gonna unlock? You're gonna jump really high?
Yeah.
But like it just it's just stupid because
Yeah.
it honestly thematically for me it's kind of annoying because it takes away the element of having like normal human people facing off against these like ridiculous overpowered threats. But if everyone gets a superpower, it's
they're
like, well,
chosen,
that
yeah.
doesn't seem that hard then. Maybe if everyone's got a superpower, it's like
Yeah.
it levels the playing
Well,
field a
I
bit.
get why they did it because like okay, this movie's already too bloated. We need to streamline it because like Jax why does he get robot arms? Well, it's because they didn't have time to get him to a lab and build arms for him. I'm talking about screenwriter practicality. No, that would be time, and like there is no time in this movie, and so I get why they chose it, but it's stupid.
There's a lore element. I forget what it is, but there's something in the lore where like it's how Kano got his laser eye because he's like a cyborg.
Yeah.
So Jack's got like there is a lore thing that they could have used easily and just kind of like like it wouldn't it'd add maybe a couple minutes.
At least though they did give some homage to the games, the older ones.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the leg sweep scene where he keeps getting beat by Kung Lao's like...
What is that, your only move, mate?
That's amazing, because that's what it is like to play Mortal Kombat. You don't have to be a good player to do like, I press down and hit low kick, and then I'm doing that leg sweep thing, and I can just do it 1,000,000 times in a row, and it's really hard to block. That's fucking awesome.
I think in that same vein, the best thing in this whole movie is the fatalities. I think like they're accurate to the game, and they're kind of fucking awesome.
And when Kano rips out Reptile's heart, it's like... That was literally in the game. You could do that.
Totally. All of them. Every single fatality is in the game. Like Scorpion pulling off his mask, blowing the smoke, Sonya shooting the hole in the person. And by far the best moment in this entire movie is Kung Lao fucking chainsawing, or not chainsawing, but like saw blading that lady.
When that happened,
that was awesome.
Yes, I was like, this is so sick. More of this.
Yes.
Why is this taking this long to get to this?
Yeah.
And this is another problem for me that is like, okay, it's a thing we added to the movie to make the movie fun, but it's confusing to me because the only time that there seem like there are stakes to the fights are when there are fatalities. Before the fatality, I don't believe anyone's gonna die.
No, they fight
because
for too long.
No one is actually being affected by like the blows they're receiving. Everyone's getting punched and kicked and blah, 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 slammed into things, blah, 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 and they get up and they're totally fine until somebody gets their head sliced off.
This is why it's so stupid when I see Kano stand up for that lunge with the knife in his leg. 'Cause it's like, okay, does he really need an Arcana, or does he already have Wolverine level healing? Because like what the hell?
That'd be more interesting, I think.
Yeah, well, that is one thing I can say for the first Mortal Kombat from 1993, something.
95.
Yeah, that one. It really felt like the fights had stakes to them because we knew that Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, Sonya, they were powerless and they were up against these like crazy characters with like superpowers and stuff.
Yeah, when one guy can use ice, you're like, what the fuck?
And Johnny Cage beats Scorpion, which is like, okay, let's pretend that Scorpion is not like Scorpion the character. He's just like a bad guy. It was a badass fight because like Johnny Cage is being resourceful. He's getting out of the way. He's like using his technique and stuff instead of just like, I got laser beams out of my head.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that. And I want more. That would have been nice to incorporate in this movie.
And I think like the fights in the first one are kind of laughably bad, like in a funny way, like when Scorpion cartwheels out of the trees and shit. But I found the fights so frustrating in this movie because I think they're good fights, but the way they're shot and the way they're edited is so disorienting. Like every action and every fight is a cut. And it's not on the hit, it's like in the in-between, and like it's crossing the axis constantly, and it's just like a really hard fight to follow. And they're all martial artists. Like it seems like they put the effort in.
The worst example was Sonya does some kind of epic gymnastics jump. Yeah. And it was like slow-mo, and she does like this twist in the air. And then there's like a cut. You don't even see her fly through the air. It just cuts on like the landing. And I was just like, okay, just stop the movie.
Well, and that's the moment
so awful.
It's the only moment she uses her Arcana, and you're like, wait, what just happened? She has like wrist blasters? What the fuck?
Also, it's like, what are those? How do you get those? Because I think in the games they are weapons.
Yeah.
She has
guns.
She has guns, but she has these wrist blasters that are like a technological thing that you can pick up and use. But in the movie, it's just like, it's a Spider-Man thing. It's just like, it's a thing that's built into your body.
Yeah. No, she has that in some games as well.
Oh, built into her body?
Like she's just like hucking pink energy.
How does she get that?
Arcana.
The same way that Johnny Cage is like,
it's just
can
don't
like
worry about
slow
it.
ball pitch green orbs out.
There's no actual lore thing for it.
There could be. I don't know.
I like Jax. I thought he was pretty good up until and when he loses his arms, I was like, we all knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we know this character. We know there's like that guy who has the robot arms.
Yeah,
that's
it's in
him.
the
We know
trailer.
he's gonna lose his arms. How it happens was kind of badass when his arms are frozen in spot. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But then his character is just like,
what the hell though? When they are ripped off, he's like not even sad. He doesn't make any noises. He's not in anguish. He's just like silent. He's like,
I think he's just like in shock.
I guess, but like again, coming from a previous movie,
it should be screaming,
where it was like intense when something similar happened, but differently. No spoilers.
Yeah,
I was like squeamish. Like I was sitting there in my seat like, oh, this is really painful. Like this is like heart-wrenching and awful to watch. And in this movie, it was just like, hey, I was like, my wife was sitting there. I was like, this guy's gonna lose his arms. Watch this. And then he's just like sitting there, and then he falls down a couple of levels, lies splat on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, now his name is Matt.
Hey,
that's a bad joke.
I do like that he has sort of like he's got more character and more of a journey than Sonya and Cole.
Yeah.
Because he loses his arms and he gets these mechanical arms and he's like, okay, this is cool, but like I'm useless. Like I'm not gonna be able to help you guys at all. And he's like training. We get that scene where he's like trying to fight and it like hurts and he doesn't have any power because his arms are so small. And then, you know, he actually there's a moment where he saves Sonya and he gets his like super arms and you're like, okay, cool. Like,
I think though, like
I like that this. I wanted this character to get to this point. Cole, I'm just
that
like
was the closest thing to an arc in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree, but I think the problem is that like the movie doesn't get you there. It's like those pieces are there, but like
they could have made it
yeah,
more
like
compelling.
what is it that like what is he that he has to learn in order to not give up? It's like no, he just has to be around and like keep kind of just doing it. And like of course he's gonna try and lift that says like his friend.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, yeah, he does what he was always gonna do, and
I think that
unlocks his
You're talking
power.
about Jax now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good by any means, but I was just saying that
It's
like I
better than-
appreciate at least one of the characters had some sort of arc that made me feel a little bit where I'm like, oh, that's sad for you.
It was kind of a bummer.
I want
his
you to
final
get better.
fight starts awesome, where you're like, oh, he like catches the hammer. You're like, yeah, it's gonna be sick. And then the rest of the fight's like, I don't know. And then when he claps the head, I was like, okay, that's okay.
Well, also
Okay.
I love that Reiko, the guy who's fighting his Reiko,
Yeah.
the actor playing that guy, you know that
He's
like,
from
you
Mad
can-
Max.
Oh yeah,
Who is
he-
that guy? Is
he's
he
the
a
guy from Mad
WWE
Max.
guy?
No, I don't
he
think so.
acts like it.
He's
Like,
just
there's
like a brute in a bunch
There's
of
literally a shot where he gets like stunned,
Yeah.
and you can see him standing in one spot, and like his head is
Well,
going.
that's a Mortal
like
Kombat
he's
thing.
woozy, and he's it is, but it just looks so bad.
Yeah, it's like the pre-fatality.
Nathan Jones.
Yeah, he's like the big brute in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah,
he was bad.
I mean,
he was bad.
He's okay.
he was
yeah.
bad, but at the same
role
time, I'm
doesn't
like,
offer him much.
I kind of love how he's just like, he's so cheesy.
But they also he's
like he doesn't look like a real person. He looks like a WWE character, as James said.
He looks like a WWE character that was based off the lead singer of Rammstein.
yeah, that's fair. It sucks too
Yeah.
because that guy's like huge. He's like 6'7", like 350 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
And when he was fighting, I was like, how he seems like 220, 230 pounds. Like they failed to make him seem massive.
Right.
And he is massive. Yeah, they really fucked it up.
Also,
Max.
yeah, sometimes a hammer is just not a good weapon, and you just
No.
like put
I
it down.
feel like the fatality of like slapping your hands together on the head is just kind of lame.
It's from the games.
well, it's a one.
I know
and
it's
done.
from the games, but it just like
There's no build up.
It seems messy.
yeah.
It's like if you slapped it, it's like that's all going on you. I don't want that.
The first time Jax did it, he had his mouth open, and that was a big mistake. He never did that again.
dude, the camera kind of like zooms in on Kung Lao's face as he's like riding Natara into the spinning blade, and his like eyes are like super wide and crazy. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this
It's
dude's
by
insane.
far the best moment in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's a great.
I think Kung Lao is fine. He's like, I don't have any negative notes
Yeah.
about him. I'm just like, he does
except
his
during that
purpose.
little tiff that they had with at the dinner
Yeah.
table. That was a tiresome scene.
Yeah.
It went on a little too long.
And it's like, it was not clever enough. Like,
No.
it's like, it's not clever that they're trying to rile him up. Like, they could have done it such better ways.
It was like, you know what it's like when you're kind of present for a squabble or like your parents being embarrassing or a fight and you just want to leave.
Yeah.
I felt that as the audience. I was like, I just want to not
That's
be
fine,
watching
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm so okay. Now we're just talking about what are we talking about now?
Character still. We have the
Okay.
Emperor to talk about still.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's.
That's the
let's
dude
stay
from
on
Dark
that.
Knight. That's Lau from Dark Knight.
He's pretty famous. He is so not defined.
He is
He's-
so not good in this role.
No,
he's
it's
way
a bad
better as
choice.
the side character
My
who embezzles money.
My favorite moment in this movie is when he's like, look,
Jin Han is
look
good.
how hot this demon lady is. And it's like a comedy moment. He like reaches out her hands. Like I could imagine Kristen Wiig as that demon being like,
Yeah.
It was like, what is this
Yeah,
moment?
we don't really
okay,
learn anything about Shang Tsung. Like, why is he trying to do this? I feel like there was a bit more in the first one. Not because like his motives are any different, but just because we spend a little bit more time with him, and we're like, okay, I kind of get who this character is. This one is just like he's a bad sorcerer guy.
Yeah.
His acting came off as cringe to me. The
Yeah.
guy who played Scorpion should have played Shang Tsung.
That'd be interesting.
He had way more charisma.
But I think he
This
has
guy-
also martial arts chops. And so that's why they
He
had him
does.
as
He
Sub-Zero.
does. But this actor, Chin, he's like, I like him in Dark Knight, but in this, he just seemed like he just didn't have the power to have that role like in his voice.
I agree.
I thought it was interesting that they cast a bunch of like known Asian actors in roles, but all the white and I mean the black character, I guess
they've done like a couple TV shows.
All the non-Asian characters are like, who are these people?
I don't
Except
mind
for
that.
Liu Kang and Kung
I think
Lao,
they're making a bet. They're saving money where they can.
Yeah.
And they know they're going to make a bunch more money in China. It's way bigger. And so they did it with sets as well, right? There's a couple locations where, this was at the beginning of the movie. Now at the end of the movie, it's covered in ice. And it's the same location.
Yeah.
So we'll save some money there.
That's the worst final fight location. I've talked about like final fight locations, showdowns being bad. The MMA gym is the fucking worst.
Oh, is that where they were?
Yeah, they were at his MMA gym with Frozen.
No. Oh, the Frozen place. But for the part before that where they're taking on the fighters one-on-one? Where is that? What is that?
That's Raiden's temple.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, that pissed me off so much.
I had no idea where they were.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like
I was like, where are we?
Here's what we're gonna do, guys.
We're just in like the void. We're in some dimensional place.
Oh wait, yeah, I don't know.
They're like, Jax, Raiden's gonna teleport you over there to fight that guy, and Liu Kang, we're gonna teleport you over there to fight that guy, and then we're all gonna team up on Sub-Zero. It's like, wait a second, why don't we just team up on all of them?
Yeah,
why don't we just gang beat all of them?
I'm so confused.
Sonya, I'm gonna transport you to go fight Kano. But I'm not gonna give you a gun first. He's just a guy. Just shoot him.
Yeah.
You're on Earth. Just get a gun.
He's just a guy.
You're in your own compound. There's probably guns.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So stupid.
He's just a guy. You know what's funny? Most of these characters could be defeated with guns.
Yeah. Cabal. Okay, I like Cabal.
Yeah,
he was
I like
sweet.
the character.
I like that's the production design in this movie that is the best. Yep. Executed as Cabal. I think he was in the second Mortal Kombat movie that we haven't covered.
I don't remember.
But I always thought he was badass. I like to play as him in Mortal Kombat, and in this movie, I was like,
"This got it right."
Yes, except I don't know what the name of his weapons are. Those long hooky things.
Oh yeah.
But they look too like big, girthy, and blunt.
They're like keyblades.
I want them to be like really sharp and like you can hang from them. Like, like they're gross.
I wish. Yeah, that fight between him and Liu Kang. I did not like that
lame.
fight. It was
so lame.
And that's the first moment they pull the trigger on the Mortal Kombat theme, like the orchestral version.
Oh yeah.
But it's like Liu Kang was like not even really losing. It's not like he had like a deep like soul search moment and he was like, I must face Mortal Kombat. It was just like he takes like a punch and he's like, I'm sad because my cousin's dead. And then it's like dun 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 dun, and he does like a bicycle kick or some shit.
And didn't they only do like one bar of the song?
They're like, it's like the build up, and they do it again with the Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight, which I think is a little more earned. But huge problem this movie has, doesn't use the theme properly. Those orchestral stingers fucking suck. And the credit remix sucks. It is 0% hype.
I didn't listen to the credits.
It was so bad. I had it on because I was talking to Michaela. I was so mad.
Oh man.
And it's like a dubstep remix.
Oh jeez.
Oh geez, Louise, you guys.
My main problem with Cabal and the fight between many of the characters is that like they all have these powers, but they're never really shown using the powers in interesting ways. Like I feel like that's one of the coolest things about watching these Marvel movies is like, okay, this guy's got a metal arm. What kind of cool sequences can we set up where this guy with a metal arm fights like Captain America with a shield? Okay, Captain America's known for throwing his shield at people. He's going to throw him at his shield and he's going to catch it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have another moment where they're fighting and there's like a knife fight and he's like using his metal arm to flip the knife around super fast and it's like, how is he going to do that? Oh, and then there's a part where he punches the direct center of the shield, makes a shockwave. It's like, there are these cool moments.
Interactions that can only happen between this matchup.
Between people with different powers. Cabal apparently has super speed, but other than just going and like running past you really fast, it seems like fighting him hand to hand is just like fighting anybody else hand to hand. I don't understand where the super speed comes in there.
Maybe Liu Kang's fire.
He's not using his fire.
Like maybe Liu Kang's hand should light up with a fireball, and then Cabal waves his hand really fast and puts it out.
Something.
You know?
Something so that there's some sort of like interesting, like that's the cool thing about characters with superpowers is that like they're like different chemicals with different compositions and different properties, and that's how they interact. Superpower stuff is chemistry with people.
Well, that's something like you could do better in the movie than the video games, but like they are not interested in developing any of the ideas past video games. Because video game, like it just has to be two people fighting, and like no matter what characters you pick, it's got to be like a fair and balanced fight. But in a movie, you can take it such weird bonkers directions. Like the Katana who can like do portals and stuff. Like The Incredibles 2 happened 2 years ago, and there's like a person with powers, and they do such cool like choreography using the portals and shit. Such a shame.
Such
a shame.
Wait.
Milana's
Melina.
is the with the wings, and Katana's the one with the mouth.
No.
No.
Way off.
Katana isn't in this movie. Katana was in the first one.
Melina is the one with the crazy mouth, and she can teleport.
Who's the demon?
Natara is the one with the
you're right.
wings.
In the games, Melina and Katana and Jade all kind of look the same, but different colors,
With
different
the
weapons.
They're color swaps.
Melina's the one with the
model.
size, and she's pink.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't do anything with Melina's portals. Natara's in it for a hot second, and she dies.
And actually, there was a really bad cut that bothered me in this movie concerning Melina.
Just one?
Oh, just one? Yeah.
No, there's a ton. This is why it's like Mulan. The cuts, like the scenes, they end too soon. You expect another second or two, and they end.
Yeah, they really fucking did some weird edits with ADR where like they clearly something wasn't clear. Where like Kano, the scene,
the bad ones with Sonya.
Yeah,
right?
where Sonya and Cole are fighting, and Kano breaks free, and then off screen ADR'd, Cole is like, Kano, use the flare, and he like grabs the flare and fights him, and it's like clearly the test audience didn't understand how he knew the flare was there or whatever, and it's an ADR'd line. If they had shot it, it definitely would have been on his face. Yeah. And there's a lot of times where like when Goro and Cole are fighting, and his family comes out, it's an 80-yard line when he's like, "No, Emily." It's like, dude, why would you cut to his face?
Okay, first of all, I really like when they use the flare because that was subtle to me. It was like Kano is red, the flare is red. That's cool. It was way more subtle than like everything yellow on this episode. But there's an ADR line where you can hear the ADR while you see the character delivering line. You can tell that it didn't match well. It's when Sonya is saying something about having. You think I have a few $1 million? Like, when they're outside of the trailer, it was bad. But to go back to the editing, it's like it has the same editor as Mulan, or there's an editing sensibility in China that I don't share.
Oh, maybe.
That I'm like, I'm expecting this shot to last 2 seconds longer and it's just over and I don't like it. But the shot that I'm originally was talking about was, and this is a story kind of thing, Cole says Sonya Blade may have some of the answers, and then there's a cut to the back of a woman walking. We have not yet met Sonya, so you would assume they're cutting to Sonya. But it's the back of Melina. Another character we have not yet met. So if you don't come in with the baggage of knowing which character is which from the games and stuff, you're just like, that's Sonya Blade. But if the opposite of Sonya Blade.
I
That's
love
so funny,
how, speaking of cutting to Melina in that scene, I love how Outworld is literally just a bunch of sand. Like, it's just nothing.
So lame.
What are we doing out here? Well, they're mining, they're sifting for
gold.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. What did I miss it when Jax gives Cole the address that he's like, you need to climb your truck and jump over the fence. That's how you get there. Like, he just gives him an address. Why does he go around the back and try and sneak in?
This is funny because when I read the Wikipedia, when I read the synopsis, it was like Cole deduces the location of Sonya's hideout.
No, Jax gives him the address.
Well, he gives him an address.
He goes like,
he just says, go to this city.
Oh, does he?
He says, go to this place.
Oh, okay.
I thought he says the address like in Clayton, Ohio or something like that.
This isn't important.
No, but what I wrote down, I have a note here because Jax gives one of the worst lines in the movie. Like, there's so much cringe dialogue in this movie. But he says, you want your family on a fucking slab in the morgue?
Yeah.
You don't want that? Then go to this address that you obviously memorized when I said it very quickly 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And then he just gets in the truck and fucks
Wait, so
off.
he does give them an address?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, there we go.
But then, he jumps over the back fence. I guess because he's paranoid and worried.
Riley, did you think, as a voice actor, did you think that Jack's voice was the type of voice that sounds like someone's putting on a voice?
I mean, they all do. No one in this... I don't believe any of these characters are who they say they are, like, except Kano. Except Kano. Sonya, I think, is just like, you're like, okay, you're like a model they hired to do this or something.
She's an actor.
Jax was... they're all actors. I'm just saying that,
I disagree with the characterization of her as a model. She was like in the first Mortal Kombat, it was like that. She's just like some dainty person.
Listen.
This actor had some force behind her. I believe her.
I'm not trying to harp on Sonya. I think that, like, for some reason she is most identifiable because Cole is the main character and he's lame, and we've established that he's lame. Okay, like it's like uninteresting to me to talk about how much Cole sucks because it's so apparent.
Yeah.
But I feel like for Sonya, it's like a bigger misstep for them not to give her some sort of characterization other than. This is important, and I'm a military person, I guess, and everything's really important, and you got to listen, and we have to win. And it's like, who is she? I don't know who she is. I sort of know who Jax is because he views himself as this capable person who's lost his arm, so now his journey is there, right?
Yeah.
And so the three main people are Jax, Sonya, and Cole. And so I'm like, Liu Kang and Kung Lao are like, okay, I guess Liu Kang is sad that Kung Lao is gone, but other than that,
well, we
get no characterization for him. So, but they're like secondary characters. The big three, I expected there to be some sort of characterization.
What we know of
there's
Sonya,
nothing for Sonya.
no, we know that she would like to have a marking.
Yeah, but like,
and she gets it.
Yeah,
by killing Kano.
It's nothing.
That's the worst fatality in the game when she shoves the fucking gnome in his face.
Okay.
I don't understand. Is that a reference? It must be a reference.
I don't think so. But what I didn't like about that kill is how she's lying on him after. Like her back is like on his belly, and after he's dead, she's still lying there, and then she gets the mark, and she kind of lays there, and he goes like, ha, ha, ha. I'm like,
yo,
no, get off.
That shot.
Make sure he's dead. Like, don't just lay there.
Yeah.
No, that shot when she gets off of him is she's laughing. She's like, huh. It honestly was like it looked like a romantic comedy where a girl just like read a text from a boy she likes, and she's like, oh, pretty cool. Like, and then gets up. I was like, what is that? I'm so confused. Anyways, no, none of the characters in terms of like the voice delivery and their like general presence, they were all bad. Yeah. It's like they were all doing a video game voiceover.
How about when Scorpion's like, get over here. Obviously, I learned English in hell.
Yeah, that was lame.
Like, it's been 3 centuries.
They got stuff to do now.
That wasn't even a powerful delivery. They should have put like a sound underneath it to like make it feel boomier.
They had that on the Outworld when Melina and Shang Tsung spoke. There was like doubled up vocals.
Yeah.
Like wispy sounding ethereal.
I thought the
voice.
Get Over Here was kind of cool. I don't know.
Was it? Okay.
Like I know it wasn't like the original, because in the 1995 movie they used the exact same voice. Get over here.
Yeah.
That was ADR.
And in this one it was like there was still power to it, but it was like this actor saying it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
That's fair.
I can dig it.
I hate that
didn't
whole
like it.
last fight. It's so bad.
Well, it just makes sense. Like, we already talked about how lame Cole is, but even if he weren't lame, it's not a good choice to have a protagonist who, when they get to the final showdown, doesn't solve it himself.
No,
but instead, his ancestor comes in and fights the battle for him. But that's what audience needed, apparently.
Yeah, we needed a Scorpion.
Just put Scorpion in the goddamn movie.
Yeah, Scorpion should have been way earlier in this movie and built up.
And also,
Just a fucking Scorpion.
just to harp on Cole some more, why have Cole? They should have just had Johnny Cage again. But if you wanted him to not be like a womanizing cocky bastard, he should have just been canceled.
Yeah.
He should have been washed up because he got canceled because he was a womanizer, and that would have been so much more topical
Right.
for the time we live in.
That would be way better. He has to redeem himself somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess they're going to bring him in for the next one. There's still
And then
time.
imagine the dynamic between him and Sonya, where Sonya's like, "Oh, I've heard about you," and he's like, "Oh no, I have to like prove to this chick that I'm more than the news headlines."
Well,
say."
she's having to deal with Kano, who's also a piece of shit, and Johnny Cage.
She always had to. She always had to.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
I just found an article that was saying that the reason that Kano got killed by a gnome is ultimately just because they wanted his death to be humiliating and pathetic, because ultimately he is pathetic. And we just thought that would be perfect for him. I mean, he's hilarious, but revolting and foul. And you know what? Better way to kill him than with a garden gnome. What?
Stupid shit.
Because he spits on it in that earlier scene. So then they're like, oh, we're gonna have a spit on the gnome, and then it's ironic that he gets killed by the gnome.
The problem with
Bad.
The thing with Kano in this movie though is that he's apprehended when we meet him, so he's not as menacing. Because he's already in prison. Yeah. And then they have a little tiff in the desert where they fight a bit. But Sonya just easily bests him, I think. And then so in the other movies, like we needed a scene where he does something repugnant. So we hate him. But in this movie, we just like him.
I don't mind him starting off restrained, especially when it's like so intense, like all these chains and stuff, because like it's like a Hannibal Lecter thing. It's like you can build up the fear while you have control of him, and then you lose control, and it's like,
Hannibal Lecter doesn't make us like laugh. He's not comic relief.
No,
he's not our buddy.
Well, I mean, Kano doesn't make me laugh either.
Obviously, as I've said, I don't know about the lore, but it seems like Kano isn't really supposed to be like a really dangerous character.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yes.
Kano is somebody when you see him, you're scared.
He's like. Within Earth Realm, he's a big piece of shit, arms dealer, like disgusting. Like I will torture you. I will like firebomb villages.
But he's not like a god of darkness or something.
No, but he's as evil as Sonya is good.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
You don't want to hang out with him.
But exactly, I'm not like, whoa, Sonya's here. She's a badass. I'm scared. You know. Or same thing with Jax. Jax is kind of like a minor character, and it's like he's got cool metal arms, but I'm not like, whoa, Jax is awesome.
The only one who's awesome is Cabal.
I like Cabal.
Cabal.
Cabal. I like for some reason he was able to show up, and within like 30 seconds, like he had character and charisma.
His voice was the best.
Yeah, he was
I'll
good.
say that.
It's because I think I have an expectation when I go to see a Mortal Kombat movie that like I am gonna go somewhere and be on a crazy journey, and Cabal feels like he's part of like that far distant journey.
Right.
Everyone else feels like somewhere in between, and like they half committed to grounding them, but they're just at their core really fucked up weird characters.
Yeah, because that's the thing
But
about
Cabal's,
Mortal
like,
Kombat.
all the way.
It's like, yeah, they start in Earthrealm, but they have advanced technology. Like, there's tons of robots in Mortal Kombat, like Cyrax and Sector, and then Kano's got this laser eye and stuff. So if it's gonna be on Earth, it should just be sci-fi.
Yeah,
just be in the future,
way
like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, way further from our own time.
I mean, maybe
That's expensive though.
Do you guys think they should continue because they want to continue? The filmmakers want to make sequels.
Not these filmmakers, please. Anyone else?
You know,
there's lots of
But maybe the
potential.
next
Would be-
one could be decent.
My guys, you're gonna be on my side. I think this would be a perfect franchise for Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Yes. Give Zack Snyder
David's thinking about it.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay, here's the thing.
No, it has to be funner. It has to be like someone who like is more tongue in cheek. Zack Snyder doesn't know humor, and Mortal Kombat needs like a tinge of like this is silly, but we're having a good time.
You might be right about that. It needs to be Zack Snyder working with. Well, okay, what about the guy who directed? What's his name? Todd Phillips.
Well, wait a second.
Directed Deadpool.
No, he did Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead had funny stuff in it.
A little bit, but
Army of the Dead's coming out. Well, we're gonna have to see.
Because the thing with Zack
I'm
Snyder,
actually excited to see this because I do not like Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I do not like him.
Yeah.
But after like making such a disaster of the DC cinematic universe, like I need to see him do something right. I need to see something that he's proper for.
I think we all agree that his best movie is Watchmen, right?
yeah, I think so.
Sure, yeah.
And like that movie is
I like
the furthest from humor that exists. And like its strength is its dour, like very serious focus on what it's trying to say.
That's true.
And I think that's what Zack Snyder's very good at is like we're like visuals encompassing like a very like serious idea.
But maybe he hasn't tried to make something funny for a while.
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe
here's some pros.
Because Dawn of the Dead, if you look up, I was looking up clips for Dawn of the Dead
It's a funny movie.
before
It's
we were
pretty-
going to do
yeah,
Justice
it's
League.
pretty
Yeah,
funny.
there's funny parts.
Yeah.
And
That's his
Army of the
funniest
Dead,
movie.
I don't know whether Army of the Dead is a sequel or not.
I think it's like loose sequel.
Yes, it's thematically related
the
at the
Dead
very least.
franchise.
And in the trailer, you see that there is comedy in it. So I'm like, who knows? Maybe this is the thing.
Well, here's things that matter
see.
for a Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
You make a good point about the humor, but also production design matters. I want and his
He'd be
movies
great.
always have great costumes.
I agree.
And so on the screen, they would look sick. The fights matter and the violence. And this movie's cool that it has the level of gore that it does because that's what the games have always been about.
Yeah.
Like, your kids can't play this game.
Yeah.
And so Zack Snyder would nail that. It would be fucking awesome. Okay, people didn't like his Justice League stuff because they didn't like the treatment of some of the characters. Now,
Yes.
I think that there are definitely Mortal Kombat fans who don't want their characters changed in some ways. But it's not like the everyday person who goes to that movie is going to have the same relationship they have with Goro as they do with Superman.
yeah.
So I think he could take artistic license, and if he changed them a bit to fit some kind of purpose, it could work. But what he would be better at is there would be a better story. Like, there's enough going on in the Mortal Kombat universe with these different realms and shit that you
Yeah.
could make something cooler going
Well,
on.
and yeah, honestly, like I agree. The one of the main problems with Snyder's take with the Snyderverse, the DC cinematic universe, is the fact that these characters weren't meant to be these like edgelord, dark, gritty, gloomy people. Like, I understand Batman was kind of like retconned from his original thing as this kind of like blue-caped, bright person into this like, you know, by the 90s we were having these like dark, gritty Batman movies. And so that's kind of the direction that the whole DC cinematic universe went. But like the DC universe is about these bright, like optimistic heroes. Like they're not about, and you could say that's a flaw. They are idealistic characters, whereas Marvel kind of has more realistic, down to earth type characters. So Zack Snyder, giving him something like Mortal Kombat, it's
they're just
perfect.
ninjas
It's
who
edgelord
breathe
stuff.
fire with skull heads.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
one of the big reasons why these Mortal Kombat movies end up not being so great is because they take this like dark universe where it's like people are going into a death tournament and like dying horrible deaths, and they're trying to make it into this fun Hollywood romp with like, oh, we got this character's really good, but like give Zack Snyder these characters and he can make them all edgy. There are no real good guys.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like in
Fighting,
it kind of for their own reasons. Like there's some people who are optimistic but are idealistic, but like they're flawed too. Like and then chop their head off. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know. Let's
and
go.
isn't there already DC and Mortal Kombat crossover? There you go. That's
Yeah.
that's his way in,
That's his
baby.
way in.
Oh, geez. Well, not that. Don't do that.
I mean,
Warner Bros.
don't care.
bought the rights from Midway.
I don't care anymore about the DC EU or whatever it is.
Injustice, man, it's better than the entire DC EU combined.
Did you play it?
Yeah, Injustice 1 and 2 have awesome stories.
Evil Superman?
Yeah, it's
Classic.
Yeah, classic.
Boring now.
I'm into nitpicks.
Yeah, let's do some quick nit hit.
The title card, the choice of the moment for the title card fucking sucks. It's like Scorpion or Sub-Zero walks away and then it's trees for a few seconds and then it just fades into Mortal Kombat and it's like, why didn't they fucking have him like stab the fuck out of him, rip him open and be like, Mortal Kombat?
Wait, who stabs who? What?
I don't know.
I think that would have been a
Scorpion?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like fucking murder the fuck out
And
of
then
him.
screams at the sky, Mortal Kombat!
I think you could have done that if it was something the audience was supposed to feel happy about. But like if Scorpion killed somebody, Mortal Kombat, you're like, fuck yeah, we're watching Mortal Kombat. But if it's like, oh no, this is a sad moment, then the title card dropping there is not so good.
I just found the slow fade in over the trees like the wrong tone. And that was a moment where I was like, because up until then I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this. That was the moment I'm like, oh, they're not in control.
Imagine they did it when Kano pulls out Reptile's heart.
I'd be so much more into that.
It's like 25 minutes into the movie. Mortal Kombat. I'd be like,
No,
fine.
every time there's a fatality. Mortal Kombat.
That's a big nitpick of mine is the fact that the Sizoth, aka Reptile, it can go invisible. He's got claws. He's got teeth. He's got acid saliva. Yet he just kind of like tools around with them while he's invisible. Like he doesn't just go up to one of them and chomp on them. It's like they're always like, where is he?
Yeah.
And then they go, whoa, I got flipped over on my back. Whoopsies. It's like he's just like fooling around with them. It's like you're a deadly monster with claws and stuff. Just stab him.
It's the same with Goro too. Like Goro could have just like grabbed Cole and been like,
yo,
and like could have killed him a million different ways, but he's just like keeps like.
That's why you got to watch the animated. What I'm telling you.
What I'm
It's
so
way better?
confused about. Goro is like the freaking Hulk. He's tearing apart a barn with his bare hands, and he's like smacking Cole with like beams of wood, and Cole like gets up and is like, oh, okay, let's go. You should be dead already.
Yeah, you are so dead.
You should be dead, dude.
I want to see Goro pick someone up with their arms, one appendage in each hand, and just rip them apart.
Yeah, one leg, one arm, just.
Kind of a weird thing to have Goro such a minor part of this movie when he was such a big part of the first one.
I don't mind.
Yeah, he's just like a henchman.
He's just sub boss.
He's just like, yeah, but doesn't he have more of like a actual character?
Well, he's the prince of whatever dimension.
He's the champion of Outworld that keeps winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I don't like in this movie is that how violent it is, and yet faces don't bleed. There's like a lot of really deep cuts on faces, and it's just the prosthetic cut. There's no blood coming out of it. Like never, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, give me some fucking blood.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I was saying.
When there is blood, it's full CG blood, and I'm like, why? Why are you doing full CG blood? He gets stabbed. It's like, and then it's like on his leg, and it's not tracking properly, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Honestly.
Use real blood. Like,
there are
what the fuck?
some full CG environments too, where they did like establishing shots from like aerial shots, and you're like, that's all CG.
Yeah, it looks so bad.
It's honestly like I get that Mortal Kombat fans like gore or whatever, but sometimes it's a little immersion breaking because people are getting sliced and. Like in the first scene, that was I have criticisms about that first scene, but but one of the things I didn't like so much was that when Hanzo is like taking out all these assassins, every time he slices one of them, it's like a huge explosion of blood. I'm just like, oh, okay,
That's not
all
how
right,
it look.
that's fake blood.
I don't mind that though, because it's like we're in Mortal Kombat. Like it has to be hyper violent.
I can get it.
Like this movie is very consistent with like this is gonna be fucking violent. Like the first moment of violence with like the sword going through the wall through the person, and there's like blood as they get like
A child
dragged
witnesses
up.
it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is rated R. This is very rated R.
It's a great intro. It's a great intro.
I liked it.
I'm scared of Sub-Zero.
I got another nitpick here.
give me a nitpick.
They do that thing where they act like the action they were about to do they've never talked about before, even though it's like you would definitely talk about it. Like they're in a cargo plane. This guy's never skydived before. They're standing on the rim about to skydive, and she's like, "You ever done this before? Just pull on this and pull on that." I'm like, huh? You've been in the plane for an hour? You didn't go over this? Like, what the fuck? That stuff just makes me mad.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Again, doesn't make me mad at this movie, but I recognize, like that's a valid comment.
Like
Obviously.
they can have a conversation at the edge, and she can like talk about how he's scared or whatever, but don't act like you never talked about how what cord to fucking pull. Like,
if this was any other movie, I would completely agree with you.
That's fair. I think, my nitpick is actually around one of my favorite things, which is I think the mid fight is actually pretty sweet. Like whenever it's like the one-on-ones, everyone's fighting. I think like the overall impression of it is like, yeah, this is Mortal Kombat.
When
We're
they
having a good
take down
time.
the shield, or what?
Where they teleport to like
when they were all or before that, when they're still in the temple, when the emperor first walks in or shouts on, first teleports in, and then they have the one-on-one fights in the temple.
Right.
I was like, this is pretty cool. When he cuts Natara.
Yeah.
When he cuts her, like that stuff, that's pretty good. But then there's like 5 minutes of fighting, and then only then do Kung Lao and the emperor start fighting, as if like they were just standing there staring at each other. And it's such a weird editing thing.
Kung Lao and the Emperor?
Or is it Emperor
or Shang Tsung?
Shang Tsung.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They start their fight like 5 minutes after everyone's already been fighting, like to the death, as if they were just like staring at each other.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I think that the editor was like, okay, this fight is already confusing. We have to wait to like put this element into the fight. But it's just so weird to me. I didn't understand at all what was going on.
I mean, obviously, the rules around when you engage in a fight in the Mortal Kombat universe are all messed up. It's like, okay, we're all going to agree that if we win this tournament, you get to invade, okay? But
we're going to invade.
But we have to have these matchups, okay? Yeah. Who's going to go, oh, you stabbed me!
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but it's like, we're just going to invade anyway, so like, what the fuck does this matter? It's so
exactly.
stupid.
It's like they have all these crazy rules, but then no one obeys them.
Is there any hint in the movie that this temple has advanced robotics?
Okay, so
what the fuck is going on there?
That's really annoying. They tried to explain it by saying, like, they see Jax there, and Sony's like, oh my gosh, what happened to him or whatever. And Liu Kang is like, our people are searching throughout all the realms for the technology to help him. So I guess the implication is that they find the technology to do this mechanical arm stuff from a different realm. But like, it's really, and it's that throwaway line, and then later he's got the arms. So it's like, okay, I guess that's what they did.
And then he has the ability to empower those other realm arms with his inner power. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I guess, okay,
stupid.
So like turn on my brain, my lore brain for a second. And I'm like, okay, so the Arcana comes from the Elder Gods who set up this whole Mortal Kombat situation. So maybe they like built in to the Arcana system, the rule that the Arcana kind of like manifests itself in a certain way particular to your situation. But like the problem is that makes sense for Jax's thing, but it doesn't make sense for Kano's.
No.
It doesn't make sense for Sonya.
Wrist
like,
blaster.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and that's what's confusing about it.
Yeah.
Here's a little nitpick line, one of the worst lines in the movie. I'm an orphan from the south side of Chicago. Just in case you didn't get this backstory crammed into the movie yet.
Yeah. Oh
like, dude, we're in Act 3. We don't care that you're from the south side of Chicago. Like, what was that about?
I think the filmmakers or one of them is from Chicago, and so he wanted that to be in there.
Don't sneak it in that way. That's not the way.
How do you fix this movie? Okay, you get rid of Cole. Who do you replace him with? Like, who do you make the protagonist of this movie? Do you do Scorpion and you have him like fight out of hell and then take on to this like level? Because like,
yeah, you have canceled Johnny Cash as the everyman, a character that we all love.
Yeah,
and then you have the subplot with Scorpion doing stuff,
and then they team up and it's all earned.
And then you animate it, and then you have the movie we already got. No, I'm just joking. There's no canceled Johnny Cash.
That's a great idea, though. I like it.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't summarize it, but I feel like the filmmakers just need to listen to this podcast. We gave a lot of good suggestions already.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not mad about, this was a criticism of the second Mortal Kombat, is like there's too many. They try to cram in too many characters because it's like fan service to see another Mortal Kombat character. Yeah. I didn't think that this movie suffered from it. There's a few of them, but like Natara, she just comes and goes. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I felt nothing.
It didn't bother me because they don't invest anything into those characters.
Oh, I got a nitpick.
Give me a nitpick.
Liu Kang pulls out this giant fire dragon
that worst
like
CG in the whole movie.
Eats Cabal. Like, wait, but could he just do that anytime? Like, what is it, because he was like really feeling it emotionally at that point? And that's
the music theme came on. He was like, I can
that's his Arcana.
It's so annoying because I understand.
It is his Arcana.
It's his Superman's Yellow Sun. Is that just fucking theme song? Yo, Jack just holds up a boombox in his giant metal arms.
Yeah. I've heard that the giant fire dragon is a fatality from Mortal Kombat, but like, you can't just pull, like, I don't know. It's just if you show them doing stuff like that, then I'm thinking, wait, why did he do that earlier?
Why don't you use a gun to kill Kano?
If you're making a Mortal Kombat movie that is tonally, it would not fit tonally to have the Mortal Kombat theme. You're not making a good Mortal Kombat movie.
But this one could have. It was stupid enough to have that theme.
But it's not fun stupid. That's the problem I have with this movie. Is like it's not so bad it's good. It's not like there's no sense of fun. It's just like dour.
It's Mulan.
Yeah, it's like I get what you're saying. It is like Mulan where there's no fun to be had. It's just fucking shit happening, and it's serious.
You hate the main character.
Yeah, I don't fucking give a shit about anything.
I had a lot of fun with Kano, but like I was like dying laughing.
I can't believe it.
Like I rewound. Like Lauren was kind of half watching, and I just started laughing, and I paused the movie because I was like, I'm missing what's happening because I'm laughing so hard. I was like having a fit, and she's like, "What? What happened?" And then like I rewound it, and I played it again, and I laughed even harder. And then she started laughing. I was like vindicated with Lauren is laughing at this stupid movie. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. That Kano was hilarious, and that's why especially I had a hard time enjoying the rest of the movie, because if the whole movie was this like bad, dour, same thing as the first one, then I might have had more fun because I was like, at least it's consistent. But now I'm just looking at the rest of this movie that's like so bad, and then you got this like really good, funny character that I want to see more of.
You know what's sad about it? It's like a Groundhog Day kind of moment. It's like, well, 6 more months of winter, or 6 more weeks of winter for the Mortal Kombat franchise. Like, this movie's not going to make any money. So they're not going to make another one for 10 years.
I think it's going to make money.
I've seen some.
But I don't want it to, because I don't want these guys to make another one.
Agree.
I want it to go into the hands of someone capable.
Yeah, one of the writers of this movie is the guy doing Into the Spider-Verse 2. So fuck you guys.
Wait, they are making Into the Spider-Verse 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but it's the guy who wrote this movie.
But did he write the first one?
No.
Oh boy.
Wait.
Yeah.
Who's directing?
It's not Christopher Lord and
it's not?
I don't think so.
Why?
Yeah, so,
Exit the Spider-Verse. See you later.
What a huge mistake.
So that guy is writing Shang-Chi, the new like Marvel movie, and Into the Spider-Verse 2. I don't know how the fuck he got these jobs. What the fuck?
Wait,
hold on. You can't just blame the screenwriter that's credited.
He did Wonder Woman 84, the Godzilla movies,
who?
Zombieland 2. I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down.
Is it Greg Russo, Dave Callahan,
That's the other one, I think.
Oren Uziel?
I think that one.
Okay, so that just says story by.
No, it's the one who did screenplay.
Okay, well, the screenplay was Greg Russo or Dave Callahan?
Dave Callahan.
Okay. And he's doing Into the Spider-Verse 2?
Into the Spider-Verse 2. And he did Zombieland 2, which is terrible, Godzilla movies, Wonder Woman 84, and this.
That's horrible news.
And so now Shang-Chi, much less excited. Into the Spider-Verse 2, I'm like heartbroken.
Wait.
It's not a hard no, though, because...
No. It's Phil Lord and Christopher Miller.
They're directing, but they're not writing.
No, they are. It says written by.
But then also him.
Yeah.
But you never know what his role is, though.
He's probably just like helping.
Why is he always involved with all these really bad movies?
Don't ruin my hype for Into the Spider-Verse 2, okay?
Don't go too hyped in for Into the Spider-Verse 2.
It's already.
No, go in with low expectations.
You should go in with low, because...
I'll try.
It'll never be as good as the first one.
But listen,
here's the thing that happens in movies, dude.
Is that Lord and Miller are writing, so that's 2 out of 3 people who are really good.
Yeah.
So, if anything, Dave will just bring it down a bit, but it should still be okay.
Here's the thing. When there's a movie that's really good and on its own that really does not need a sequel, like the first Matrix or Enter the Spider-Verse, it's only down. The sequels are just going to be crappy.
Even if it's good, even if it's an 8, it's still going to be a disappointment. And it's like, there's no...
Like Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Yeah.
There's also 2 other people writing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
For sure.
And it's Marvel. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
And Patty Jenkins wrote she has her screenwriting credit on Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for Shang-Chi?
Yeah, it looks okay.
Looks pretty good.
It's a guy from Kim's Convenience. Have a hard time separating.
Is that the main character?
Yeah.
All right, clearly this podcast is over. Next week, everybody, we're going to do Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes!
More fighting.
Nice.
You can tweet at us.
Oh my gosh, that'll be a great contrast between how not to do a fight scene and how to do a fight scene. Continue, James.
Tweet at us at Carpal Critics. Email us hello@carpalcritics.ca. Hello.
Hello.
We'll see you guys next time. Love you.